Good afternoon. This is iPulse Live. I'm Lasekian.
And I'm Davendra Belbis. A 22-year-old Utah man is under arrest in the killing of Charlie Kirk on a Utah college campus.
The Turning Point USA founder gunned down at the start of what was to be a fall campus speaking tour. CNN's Maribel Gonzalez has late-breaking details.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
After less than 33 hours and more than 11,000 leads called into the FBI, authorities announcing early Friday the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting is in custody.
A family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
According to the governor of Utah, suspect Tyler Robinson's family told investigators he became more political in recent years and criticized Kirk.
In the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had.
Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, was revered by conservatives and sharply criticized by liberals. No one doubted his ability to get out the young conservative vote, and Kirk counted President Trump as a confidant.
Now across the political spectrum, his death is being condemned. At the intersection of ugly political rhetoric, polarization, gun violence, and graphic social media images, Americans once again ask, who are we, and where are we headed? Andrea Kendi looks back at the two-day manhunt.
The FBI released video, it says, shows the suspected gunman jumping off a roof moments after shooting Charlie Kirk.
So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips. I would just note that the FBI hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing.
The killing of the conservative activist is sending shockwaves through the political landscape. Lawmakers say they are on heightened alert.
I think it's undeniable now that we've got to beef up security on every member.
And many are calling for leaders to bring down the temperature on political rhetoric.
We must come together. Our responsibility is to de-escalate this environment, to reduce the level of chaos that is at risk right now in this country.
The 31-year-old founder of Turning Point USA is credited with helping rally young voters to conservative causes. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance escorted Erica Kirk and her husband's casket to Phoenix on a flight aboard Air Force Two from Salt Lake City. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump says he plans to award Kirk a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom and will attend his funeral in Arizona.
Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man. Great in every way, especially with youth. And what he did, what this man did, was disgraceful.
I'm Andrea Kendi for iPulse.
I sat down with Dr. Robert Watson, Distinguished Professor of American History at Lynn University. The conversation comes as people again quickly take sides on gun and political violence and harsh rhetoric on all sides. There is the debate over whether unfiltered violence, Kirk's fatal wound was endlessly replayed on social media, is leaving us desensitized to growing bloodshed.
I mean, I'm saddened. I would like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Tragically, there's a pandemic, not a problem, a pandemic of gun violence in this country.
Does this killing shock us into coming together and saying enough is enough, or do you think it will further polarize us politically?
You know, it's a tragedy, and during a time of a tragedy, it's never a time for partisanship, never. There are some realities and ironies that do need to be aired. We have seen children gunned down multiple times a year for years now. Words like Columbine, Sandy Hook, Stoneman Douglas, these schools have become a part of our vernacular. Kids are being slaughtered on a regular basis by guns. The last full year of reliable gun data, nearly 47,000 Americans died from gun violence in a year. That was 2023. As tragic as it is, and let me be clear and let me underscore how awful this is, if any good comes out of this horrific deed, maybe this is what is going to get the Republicans to get serious about gun control, because it was not only one of their own, he was a young rising star in conservative circles, and he leaves behind a family. This is just, it's awful.
I also sat down to talk to fellow Lynn students about the gruesome videos of Charlie Kirk's killing that flashed across the internet, asking whether we are all becoming desensitized to endless images of violence.
I was distraught in so many ways. That was someone's husband, someone's father, someone's son, and it popped up out of nowhere, so I really didn't know what it was.
To be honest, I was just besides myself, to see something like that, very gory, very violent, knowing that he's a guy that just openly speaks about his opinions, and to be killed for that, I thought was very, very crazy.
Tragic. It was honestly tragic. I was sitting in class, and my phone kept blowing up. I looked at my phone, it was my regular group chat, and I looked at it and it was Charlie Kirk's dead, and I was like, what? That's insane. And they sent the videos. There's 3 videos that followed, and I looked at them, and one was just really gory, and I couldn't believe it. It honestly looked AI'd, and I didn't think it was real, but it was awful, obviously.
Did you see the video of him being shot online?
I did. I had no intention on seeing it. It kind of just popped up on my phone, through group chats and social media.
Do you think seeing videos like this is desensitizing us to violence?
Yeah, I would say it is, because there's so many different videos of people being treated in this way or violent things happening, and I just don't think that should be normal in our society.
On Wednesday, as the nation recoiled over the killing of Charlie Kirk, more shocking gun violence at a school. The place, Evergreen, Colorado. Police say the 16-year-old student shooter may have been part of a, quote, radicalized extremist network. They offered no details. He wounded 2 students, then fatally wounded himself. From Colorado to Parkland, from attacks on liberal and conservative political figures, all of that and more is part of growing worry about the country's social fabric. CNN's Amanda Gilbert reports.
Do not open it. That's the moment triplets Katie, Bella, and Haley Clarkson were huddled together. They had spent lunch together in this classroom when they heard a gunshot just after noon.
It just sounded like a bookshelf fell.
You were like, what dropped?
Like what dropped?
I knew it was a gunshot. My heart went to my stomach.
In these terrifying moments, there was one thing they were grateful for.
But I was like, if I'm ever in a school shooting, I'm gonna be so worried where my siblings are. So I'm so glad that we were together and I wasn't worried about what they were. Are they okay?
The 15-year-olds even FaceTimed their mom.
I'm pretty sure I was like, there's a shooting, and she was like, she didn't think it was real.
The girls waited in this room for 45 minutes before law enforcement told them they were safe.
And they came in and they had these big guns, and there was this flashlight, and it was just really scary.
While being escorted out, you can hear the sisters asking questions.
I was worried that some of my teachers and my friends who are in other rooms upstairs were injured or shot, and so the whole time that we were walking down there, I was like, are they okay?
Katie, Bella, and Haley haven't returned to school yet. Their belongings sit untouched.
My lunchbox is sitting there open, and my water bottle is still open because I just took a sip and I hadn't closed it yet. It's captured a time.
They hope others take this seriously.
I think I got around 3 hours of sleep last night. I think I just, I'm kind of a little scared to leave the house a little bit.
Politicians are joining from across the aisle to condemn the political violence that claimed its latest victim in Charlie Kirk. That reaction includes Senator Lindsey Graham from Capitol Hill.
Yesterday was a tragic day for America. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. From a Republican point of view, he was one of the leading voices in the MAGA world. He organized campuses to spread conservatism. On our side of the aisle, we saw him as a great force. I think Democrats, whether they agreed with him or not, understand that this is not the way you have discourse in the country. And we're just here as a group to say America cannot govern itself this way. We all have to speak with one voice and find the person who did this and bring them to justice.
We will continue to follow the latest on the unfolding story of the arrest of the shooting suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk.
Now we want to turn our focus to news across our community. That includes education news and promising marks for a new program aimed at giving pre-kindergarteners the boost they need. Erna DeLise reports.
This is what early learning looks like, a new initiative helping prepare VPK students for kindergarten in Palm Beach County.
We're using an adaptive learning program called Age of Learning.
A California-based tech company designed the Age of Learning program. According to state statistics, kindergarten readiness in Palm Beach County jumped from 66% to more than 72% in the last school year.
So I think definitely my reading had an incredible impact, right? And the impact came not only from recognizing that children can learn at their speed.
And the Early Learning Coalition says it's finding the program works for all students.
Age of Learning was an accelerator in that even the child that was behind was able to make huge strides and catch up with the children who were already ready.
These programs consist of reading and math in Spanish or English and are used for 15 minutes a day in the classroom.
What that tells us during that 15 minutes is what a child already has mastered, what they're emerging in, and what they don't know at all yet. And that helps the teacher to understand how to craft her classroom, lessons.
The Early Learning Coalition has high hopes.
We're excited about what we're seeing for children. Our goal is to really get to 100% readiness for our children entering kindergarten by the year 2030.
It all adds up to one more tool for young students at the start of their academic journeys. I'm Erna DeLise for iPulse News.
The Florida Health Department says its controversial plan to drop school vaccine mandates won't go into effect for another 90 days and will likely include hepatitis B, chickenpox, and HIV influenza shots. The future of the measles vaccine and others may be left to lawmakers. All this is at the direction of the State Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, and with the support of Governor Ron DeSantis. Child health experts are alarmed and speaking out.
Unfortunately, we are politicizing medicine. And in this era and environment, we're just risking people's lives and just for politics. People who are gonna suffer from these decisions are the children and physicians. And this is going to overwhelm us more than we're already overwhelmed. Our system is overwhelmed already. We have shortage of physicians, we have shortage of pediatricians, we have shortage of nurses, and you are going to see so many sick kids, sick adults, and we're going to see people are gonna lose their lives.
We now turn to physical fitness on the Lynn University campus. It's a lesson about the mind-body connection, helping college students, helping any of us to succeed. Swanson Gibson Jr. gives you a look.
The fall semester in full swing and the number of assignments increasing, so are the stress levels of Lynn University students. Many of them are joining fitness groups, an outlet for reducing stress and improving wellness.
It's been a very good community to get along with.
We recently attended one of the many fitness classes at Lynn's Snyder Center for Health and Wellness, delving into the nature of yoga. Lynn senior Rihanna Noel shared her perspective on the class.
I always found yoga very fascinating, but I've never really done it. So when I saw Yoga with Elena at 5:15, I was like, I might as well try a guided one, and then I've been here all 3 weeks that it's been started. It's been very fun. I found a set of people that I really enjoy, master students, freshmen. I'm getting better with my mantras to myself, getting the physical benefits because of yoga.
Elena McDonald, Lynn University adjunct professor and certified yoga instructor, discuss the operations of her classes.
I teach every Tuesday at 5:15 here at the Lynn gym, and we try to keep it all levels. I always ask our students kind of what they're feeling, what they're in the mood for. We're working every part of the body, especially if you're training in the gym, you're weightlifting, things like that. Yoga is a great way to complement those workouts to make sure that you're stretching all those muscles that you're using. School can be very stressful, so yoga is a great way to, after your classes, to come together as a community, stretch, feel good, and just relax.
Noel doubles down on the relief that comes with yoga practices.
We're all stressed with the semester. Last week, everyone had a tough week, so I feel like getting everyone to come to yoga and release those stresses, even if they don't realize the benefits immediately, I know they'll see it right after.
A cost-free outlet contributing to the overall wellness of students. Reporting for iPulse News, I'm Swanson Gibson Jr.
Sports, of course, are a big part of the life at Lynn, at any university. It got us into thinking about NIL, name, image, and likeness deals for big-time college athletes. Swanson wondered how that is playing out at Lynn, a Division II athletic program. So he sat down with Lynn Athletic Director Kathy Krupa.
So thank you, Dr. Krupa, for taking time to participate in this interview with me. I wanted to discuss NIL policy that was first implemented in 2021, essentially allowing NCAA student athletes across all three divisions to reap the benefits financially from their name, image, and likeness, hence the acronym. I wanted to know, how does Lynn University implement this policy within its athletics program?
Yeah, no, thanks, Swanson. It's a great question. So for us, NIL really ends up being more sponsorship opportunities or, just promotional activities. We don't see the big contracts like they do at the bigger Division I schools right now. We use a company called Spry. And what Spry does is it helps act as a clearinghouse. And so that what we can do is just have them look at contracts, have them help protect our student athletes that want to get into the space. We also see a lot of the really big social media presences. Those are the student athletes that tend to be getting a lot of the opportunities these days, and it makes sense with marketing and everything else that we see. But for us, it's really protecting the students that want to engage in that space. Florida state law is first and foremost that we have to comply by, and we do educational opportunities with Spry and other projects with them that help us kind of just engage in that space, and it's really up to the students to put their foot forward.
When NIL first came into effect, there was a lot of pushback from various officials, athletic personnel, etc. Do you feel as if when the student athletes are so focused on the financial aspect that takes away from the focus and passion from the academics as well as the athletics?
I think it can, and I think we do see that in the news quite a bit with bigger programs. And when you're talking about millions of dollars, I think there's always some challenges there. I think for our students, they're so passionate about their sport and their academics, and that's why they're at an institution like Lynn. They really want the whole, life in the balance and really being able to gauge in a lot of things. So I think that we're lucky because we're not into that space as much. But I have a lot of colleagues that work, with bigger schools, and that's hard in the locker room when people are focused on money and not what they're actually there for.
Absolutely. Now, the fall semester is well underway. Our various sports teams are getting into the thick of it. Our men's soccer team, defending national champions, as well as our women's volleyball team, they have begun their journey for their title defense. So just talk about the various seasons that are set to begin, and how excited are you? How would you characterize last year's success as well?
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat last year's success. It was a special year. We're never going to have a December 14th again where we have two teams that win a national championship on the same day in completely different states. Luna Mertens got 2 individual national championships herself at the swimming championships. So it's just such a special year. And then we start over, and every year is a new year. It's a new opportunity. Both soccer teams are off to a great start. Volleyball's off to a tremendous start. Both cross-country programs had a bunch of personal bests in their first race. So we're off and rolling, and it's exciting. And every year is exciting. We just focus on the process. We focus on what we do, how we do it, and we know it's going to yield great results.
Lastly, can we have a brief update regarding the baseball and softball fields?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working with our contractor, we're working with the architects and the city of Boca with all the permitting, and it's exciting. You look out there, you see trucks moving dirt around and things getting, just moved and situated, and lots of equipment. So we don't have a firm time frame yet, but things are going, and it's really exciting.
Exciting times for Lynn University athletics.
Indeed.
Ms. Krupa, thank you so much for taking time to do this interview. We wish you guys all the best going forward.
Thanks so much, Swanson.
Nice to have you back with us. I'm Noah Barkley, and I'll tell you right now, we do have a disturbance that's coming on in the Atlantic. There's a 40% chance of forming according to the National Weather Service. It's coming off the coast of Africa. There is a bit of a steering pattern under it. That's why it's going a little bit northwest, just slightly, because there is a high pressure under it. There is a little Saharan dust, so it is a little dry. So it is going to prohibit it from forming really to the maximum strength that it could. Even if it does look like, we don't have the spaghetti plots yet, but even if it does look like it's going to go in and then can kind of curve out and really not be a threat to land. But of course, we'll have to see what the GFS models are saying later in the week. As you'll see on the next image, right now we do have some spotty showers going on. It is going to get worse later in the day. Right now, they're over by to the left of Key West. It's a little bit north of us, but as we get later on, as we'll see right now on the next image, it is going to get bad at around 5:30, 5:45, right around rush hour. So you got to be careful going home, because we do have some really heavy thunderstorms that are expected to come into the Boca Raton area. As we'll see right here, it is a little bit of the red, a little bit south, and that's going to pose a threat. Here on Wednesday, that is also going to continue. It is going to be very heavy. We do have this high pressure that is under Key West, and we do have actually another steering pattern that comes in with the low pressure that is actually in the middle of Florida right now. There's also a little bit of a high pressure over by New Orleans. So it's pushing a lot of things up, and it's pushing a lot of things this way as well. So it's really causing a lot of things to happen all in the wrong way for your commutes to and from work, because we do have a lot of rain coming this week, as you'll see on the 7-day forecast on the next image, as we do have a lot of rain going on. We have thunderstorms that are expected today, as you'll see. We do have more light showers Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's going to remain very consistent, both with the temperature and with the rain that's actually coming in. Thunderstorms as well later in the week. You do have that Wednesday storm, like I mentioned, where it is going to get really bad, very heavy. So please be prepared for that. As we get on to Thursday, those thunderstorms will continue.
What's in street signage and when is a debate over it another sign of our political times? Paving over crosswalks across Florida, including those with a Pride Coalition theme, is creating controversy. Jordan Furstenberg reports from Delray Beach.
This is what the Delray Beach Pride streetscape looks like today. Gone. Paved over. It used to look like this, before the Florida Department of Transportation ordered the removal of all crosswalk art around the state. The local Pride community says it feels it's the target of this move.
They're removing artwork that is expressing people's self-identities, and they're taking away our ability to express ourselves.
Governor Ron DeSantis has argued no one group is being singled out. On X, he said, quote, "We will not allow our state roads to be commandeered for political purposes."
I think that the mandate actually goes against our First Amendment right with our freedom of speech. We should not have to worry about other people's opinions.
Delray Beach shop owners near what used to be the Pride crosswalk have their own opinions.
It didn't bother me at all, it being there. It seems like a waste of money to put it there and then have it taken down. So I guess it's considered some sort of safety issue, which to me, that's probably not why it's being removed. Yeah, I think it's silly.
For some, this was just ordinary street art, but for others, it had been a memorial for Orlando's Pulse nightclub massacre victims.
I hope that we can realize on a governmental and political standpoint that we are moving backwards before we have something like Stonewall happen again.
And now, crosswalks take their place in that ongoing debate about expression. Jordan Furstenberg for iPulse News.
Emotional support animals have helped many, changing people's mental state. Now, a few people on campus have their very own emotional support animal. Allison Wallace has the adorable story.
Emotional support animals, also called ESA animals, are a huge help to those that are mentally struggling. I sat down with owners of ESA pets, talking with them about how these animals have changed their lives.
I was going through some pretty tough stuff at the time that I got him.
Annalise Randall Bauer is a Lynn University residential advisor. Her cousin is a breeder. That's where she found Stanley, and he's been a life changer.
And afterwards, one, having the responsibility of taking care of an animal is so important, kind of gives you purpose to wake up and get out of bed in the day. And also just, how can you not?
Lynn University has its own set of resources for those who are on campus and want to apply for an emotional support animal. And more generally, if you're watching this and would like to have such a companion, the best place to start is with your vet. And then have a talk with a licensed therapist so you can get the paperwork to certify your pet as an emotional support animal.
But yeah, she gives me a lot of happiness.
Brian Gaeta, Associate Director of Housing and Residence Life at Lynn University.
And, gets me out of the house, goes on walks and stuff like that. So it's been fantastic. Within the last few years, people have been noticing other people have it and stopping and be like, oh my God, how do you have this animal? And people are going through the process correctly. And, having animals on campus has been super helpful to them.
Getting the word out and making a difference on mental and emotional health, one relationship at a time.
With lots of love from Stanley, I'm Allison Wallace reporting for iPulse News.
A taste of success. One pastry chef took his talents from the kitchen to the classroom and is serving up opportunity for West Boca High students. Becca Kate checks it out.
The smells and sounds of the culinary kitchen are home for Chef Michael. He has gone from high-level cooking to now teaching high school students. His culinary journey began years ago at the Culinary Institute of America in New York.
When I went on my internship, I was introduced to baking and pastry, and that's when I fell in love with baking and pastry. I continued my education in pastry, and I've been doing pastry for almost 20 years.
His pastry passion eventually turned to include a love for the hot foods in the kitchen.
I got into hot food. I've always had a passion for hot food. So when a position came available at West Boca Raton Community High School for a culinary chef, I jumped all over it.
And here you see Chef Michael living that joy with his future master chefs.
Biggest advice is don't give up. Always volunteer for things. You want to be the one the chef remembers by.
We turn to a different success story, one that took a leap of faith and a leap over the pond, as people coming here from England often say. One man found his calling in Delray Beach, and the COVID pandemic helped start him down the path to his dream job.
Meet Stephen Edwards. He's as cool as an iced tea on a summer night.
My grandmother was somewhat of maybe a green witch, we could say.
He opened Kehoe Wellness in Delray Beach 4 years ago. Getting here was tough. A UK native, Edwards and his family got stuck there on an overseas trip.
We actually travelled back to England for Christmas 2019.
And then came COVID.
Because we were in serious lockdown there, I just decided to go into the forest with my boy every day. That's where COVID really catapulted me and the business into this direction.
The walk in the forest got him to thinking, why not let nature be his guide?
I always wanted to try making wine, so I made elderflower wine, foraged for the elderflower, I made blackberry wine, I made tinctures, poultices, all sorts of things. Stuff that I used to do with my family when I was a lot younger.
In the middle of the pandemic, Edward's thoughts kept returning to Florida, where he had already developed a tech startup business here.
It was interesting to look on Instagram and see people in Florida that were still somewhat enjoying life outside.
When he and his family got back here after lockdowns ended, the focus on tech gave way to his passion for teas.
I launched the teas and my mission was to find microplastic-free and bleach-free paper. I want people to get the medicinal benefits from the plant as well as the comfort at the end of the day.
He's happy he found his comfort in the place he now calls home.
It's a wonderful country for believing in a dream and achieving your dream.
I'm Lasekian, reporting for iPulse.
This week is one where so many of us took time to pause, reflect, and remember the victims and the heroes of 9/11.
As student journalists here at Lynn, 9/11 is a profound history lesson. For so many others, it is a witnessed, lived experience. Delaney Smith sat down with Lynn Communications adjunct professor Michael Williams. He was a longtime South Florida television news reporter and anchor. Michael traveled to New York City in the immediate aftermath of 9/11.
Thursday morning, a memorial service was held at the Pentagon to honor the lives that were lost at the 9/11 terror attacks. Bells were rung as many gathered together. President Donald J. Trump had this to say.
To every member that still feels a void every day of your lives, the First Lady and I unite with you in sorrow. And today, as one nation, we renew our sacred vow that we will never forget September 11th, 2001.
24 years ago, thousands of lives were lost. Families were broken, and a nation was changed forever. For those who witnessed the events firsthand, the impact of that day has carried on for decades. I sat down with longtime journalist Michael Williams, who was on the ground in New York City reporting the tragedy. Michael, thank you so much for sitting down with me and opening your heart on such a prevalent day in American history. Take me back to the atmosphere, the sights, the sounds of September 11th, 2001.
24 years ago, right now, I was in Miami. Of course, the attacks had happened. There were no words to describe how horrified all of us were. And at that point, of course, we didn't know, might Miami be next? They began grounding flights, of course. By late that night, our general manager at my NBC station in Miami said, let's get to New York. So my photographer and I set out Wednesday morning, the day after the attacks, got to New York City sometime early afternoon on Thursday. I will never forget crossing the George Washington Bridge with my photographer, and we both looked south to Lower Manhattan, and all we could see was the smoke rising. And my photographer and I looked at each other, and I remember it so vividly 24 years later, saying that imagery, that gut-wrenching sight is something that will be with us the rest of our lives, knowing what it entailed. The horrendous loss of life, a country that really, on the day of 9/11 and for a long time afterwards was on its knees, and yet in all of that, as we covered that story for nearly 2 weeks on the ground in New York, saw unbelievable acts of heroism, certainly gut-wrenching cases, one after the other, of people who'd lost so much and were still trying to hold on to hope. Those stories of heroism and hurt and people coming together in circumstances that truly were unimaginable, those stick with you for a lifetime.
You mentioned these stories of heroism, and I'm sure the first responders, not only them, but civilians stepped into that role of being a hero. Can you tell me about that?
A perfect example of that is we were on West Side Highway, and day after day, one of the images that stuck with me, to your point, Delaney, truck after truck rolling by, and an endless cavalcade going there to try and do their part to remove the debris and what was still at that early point a frantic search, hope against hope that they might find survivors, to do their part, to be part of something bigger, to give up their time, to risk their lives, as we would later find, both in terms of the immediacy of the moment and what might happen, and also the health problems that arose. Ordinary Americans from around New York City, the tri-state area there, and from around the country coming together. As for the first responders, day after day, as the footage would come to us, and we would tell their stories, and we would remark day after day about the bravery of the men and women who were doing so much at ground zero to try to help. I have a stand-up I remember doing. Over my shoulder, I could see the skeleton of what had been the World Trade Center. People say, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you're there to help tell their stories and to try and help communities around the nation understand what's going on. I do remember many a live shot. In fact, almost all of them, you'd stand there and you'd just literally have to collect yourself in a very profound way. It was the most difficult story I'd ever covered. But you remind yourself every day, I'm there to cover an enormously, unimaginably tough story. I got to go home. A lot of people live that story to this very day, who lost their firefighter or police or other first responder loved one, who lost them in later years because of the health crises, the sicknesses that occurred because of their work and that toxic environment at ground zero. And people who've had to endure that for 24 years now and will endure it for the rest of their lives. I do remember at times sitting there or standing there and saying, what kind of strength is it that allows people to say we'll forge onward and we'll go about trying to recover, to rebuild, to wrap our arms around all those who'd lost everything and all those who then and later would lose so much in the effort to help those who'd been directly impacted, to help the loved ones of those who'd lost their lives at Ground Zero. Those were lessons that I must confess, many times I've been asked about as I've spoken to people over the years, that you always pray for those people. It was one of those things that you wondered how people could be so evil to do what they did, and you marveled and were thankful in your prayers for the people who were so brave to try to help.
What's your advice for today's journalists who may face a similar tragedy?
First, know our history. It's hard to talk with any depth and sense of nuance and place and time, and to connect what has happened with what may happen today or tomorrow. Always remember our heroes. Remember that they didn't get up that day, 9/11, to be heroes. They got up to go be firefighters. They got up to be police officers. In the most profound moment of my reporting life, which was 9/11 coverage, to do what you could to be there to listen and to help tell the stories in a moment where the communities around the nation needed that, and to listen, to deeply, profoundly listen. The story that haunts me, but at the same time always reminds me of the strength of people, is during our entire time there, we'd be going to tell stories. And we always wanted to remember as journalists that our job is to tell stories with fairness and accuracy, but also empathy. You're a human being first. And day after day, we'd have people coming up to us with pictures of their loved ones. And it broke our hearts asking, have you seen my loved one? Or do you know where maybe there's a center where I can find out? And in the overwhelming number of cases, they were not going to find their loved one alive. But to listen to them, to tell their story, to help communities through our coverage put our collective arms around them, to remember that we're humans first, journalists second. And for you who are young journalists moving on, it's that ability to do your work and never lose your heart and soul, and to always do that work with empathy and understanding and a knowledge of what has happened that helps inform your understanding, your context, your coverage of the stories to come.
What does this day mean to you now?
The day means to me that it's always time to remember. And there's power in that remembrance. And if you really think about it, it's why you and I are journalists. Because in small ways and big, we're telling the stories that we think a community needs to always remember, to always think about. And so I think I come away every year when I think about this day, and I talk to friends about it, with an understanding of the humility we must all have in telling the stories of our community. Our loved ones gave their lives, but they gave them so that all of us could move forward. So to always remember them, to celebrate their lives, to celebrate the best of them, to celebrate the best of us, and to humbly remember that we're there in our small roles, but very important ones as journalists, to help tell those stories, to be there to wrap our arms around a community in tragedies big and small, to remember people don't go into a day saying, I'm planning on being a hero that day. They go in it just being human beings like you and me, but somehow they find that strength of character and soul to do the things that we often wonder, would I have the strength to do that? And I think it's always worth saying, let me honor that, let me respect that, let me never forget to tell their stories. Just say, this mattered, then, now, always.
Thank you for watching today's broadcast.
We'll see you next week with another edition of iPulse Live. Have a great weekend.